at our coastal areas, just for information, our land borders may be up to nearly 16,000 kilometers, while the coastal borders are nearly 7,600 kilometers. And you are aware that from our coastal area, 200 nautical miles from the coast is supposed to be the exclusive economic zone which belongs to our country, and anything which is found in that area, that is oil, gas and any rare mineral, it belongs to us, and we definitely need to guard them in a proper manner. In addition to that, in the Arabian Sea, we have a group of islands called the Lakdip and Minicoy Islands, nearly 200 to 50 of them, which we need to guard properly, and we have another group of islands called the Andaman and Nicobar Islands in the Bay of Bengal. There are lots of problems of security. We will talk about all these things when we discuss India's coastal security in a big way, but suffice to say that some of the statistical data which will tell you the importance of coastal areas is something like this. Coastline nearly 7,600 kilometers, Andaman Nicobar Islands 572 islands, Lakshadweep Minicoy group of islands nearly 27. Major ports that we have in the country which need to be guarded are 13. Minor ports which need to be guarded are nearly 135, and we have an exclusive economic zone which is almost as big as our land borders. This is what we need to guard, and in the exclusive economic zone we have a lot of assets like Bombay High, gas pipelines, etc., which we need to guard from the subversive elements. We will talk on all these issues in a more detailed manner in the subsequent part of the presentation. Now we will come down to the Myanmar border. Myanmar today shares a border with the state of Assam and other two smaller states of Northeast. Myanmar is supposed to be a friendly country. However, it has generally been ruled by an autocratic government. The problem that we face with Myanmar is, even though it is friendly, it does not have a control into the areas bordering Myanmar and India. There are thick jungles there, and there are reports that a number of insurgent groups from the northeast like NSCN-IM, that is the group belonging to Nagaland, NSCN-K, they have their training camps in Myanmar. In addition to that, number of groups from Manipur also have their training camps in Myanmar. The problem that we face on the Myanmar border is, as per the agreement between Myanmar and India, the population on either side of the border is permitted to enter into each other's area up to 10 kilometers. So therefore, keeping a tag or keeping a watch on this population which migrates from one side to another for various reasons is not easy. This border presently is manned by the Assam Rifles, which is basically officered by the Indian Army, and because of thick jungles, we have not been able to construct any worthwhile fence in this area, neither do we have any infrastructure of roads in this area. The problems that we face from these borders from the point of view of security is free movement of insurgent groups from Myanmar into India and vice versa, smuggling of arms and ammunition. Also, some of the Naxal groups have reported to being trained by the groups of NSCN, IM, etc. Drugs are also imported into this country. Human trafficking also takes place, is also a part which creates a problem for us from the point of view of security. So these are the various problems which we face with Myanmar. Myanmar has agreed to cooperate with us to ensure that no camps of insurgent groups are there on their border, but this agreement has not been implemented correctly. So we need to keep on pushing Myanmar to ensure that as much as possible these camps and the training areas from there are removed. Now we will very briefly turn over to the Chinese border. We fought a war with China in 1962. 50 years have been completed last year with regard to this war, and we had lost this war. So the issue is, have we learned correct lessons from this war or not? Because a nation which does not learn correct lessons is bound to repeat the same mistakes again and thereby suffer once again. What were the mistakes we made in 1962?
Rubbish, total rubbish. The PM exploded. We don't need defense policy. Our policy is ahimsa. We foresee no military threats. As far as I am concerned, you can scrap the army. Police are good enough to meet our security needs.
In 1960, when Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, then Prime Minister, was given a presentation on security threats to the country by the then Chief of Army Staff General Thimayya, he became very angry, and what he said was just now I'll repeat it once again. He said, "We do not face any military threat. Our policy is ahimsa, and there will be no war with China. We do not require Indian Army, and police are good enough to take care of our security needs." This is what Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru said in 1960, and how wrong he was proved was later was proved when the 62 war took place. He is also reported to have made a statement that there will be no war between India and China, and in the most unlikely event of there being one, I am more than capable of fighting it on my own at diplomatic level. He had a lot of faith in the diplomacy, but again history proved that his faith was unfounded, and we suffered very heavy reverses in the 1962 war. The main issue is, in the 62 war, was the Indian Army defeated, or was it a defeat of our political leadership? What we need to understand is 62 war, which lasted for nearly 4 weeks, in which only 1/10 of Indian Army, which was present at that point of time, that is nearly about 18,000 troops, took part in the war. 9/10 of Indian Army did not take part in the 1962 war. Similarly, Indian Air Force was never used in the 1962 war. Also, the Indian Navy was also not used. If you have not used 9/10 of your Army, Navy and Air Force resources during the war, how can we say that we lost the war or the Army lost the war? Definitely the defeat, if at all, was there in the minds of our political leadership, who thought that we lost the war. This war actually can be divided into two sectors: the war fought in the Arunachal Pradesh and war fought in the area of Ladakh. In Arunachal Pradesh, except Wolong, everywhere we tried to withdraw and we lost in Arunachal Pradesh. However, in the area of Ladakh, the Indian Army fought very bravely, and the gallantry awards of Paramveer Chakra was won in the Battle of Chushul by late Major Shaitan Singh, and Brigadier Raina, who was there, also fought very gallantly in this war, where he was awarded with Mahavir Chakra. In the Battle of Wolong, which is located in Arunachal Pradesh, Indian Army fought very bravely there also, and today also there is a war memorial at Wolong, which tells you as to how the war was
How can man die
fought.
better than facing fearful odds for the ashes of his fathers and the temples of his gods?
Important is, what are the lessons to be learned? Like George Kennedy had famously said that victory has many fathers, defeat has none. So what was the mistake that we made? Nehru was an autocrat. He believed that army was not required. The defense minister then, Mr. Krishna Menon, thought army was not required. The bureaucracy at that time was very, very lethargic. The police was very, very inefficient. The intelligence agencies, as they are today, were not up to the mark. They were interested more in political intelligence than in intelligence about China. In fact, there's a classic example when the Chinese built the Aksai Chin Road passing through our area, our intelligence bureau did not know about it till the time Radio Beijing announced it on their radio. This was not even told to our leadership. The military leadership at that point of time, the good leaders like General Thimayya were removed by Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru, and they put a man who was friendly with them, and Lieutenant General Kaul, who actually was the core commander in this war, was one person who had no experience of fighting a war at all. If General Thimayya had remained there, possibly we would have fought in a much better manner. In fact, New York Times, this big newspaper from America, in their editorial in 1962 have said that Indian Army at that point of time needed everything. The only thing that they had at that point was raw courage, and nothing else they had. So today, the basic lesson from the 62 war is, if you do not want a war with China, you have to be ready to fight one. Have we learned the lessons from there? The status today in a very brief manner is like this. The border, the roads from the Chinese side have reached the passes on the Indian borders, while the Indian roads today in each valley is nearly 35 to 40 to 50 kilometers behind. The Chinese railway line has reached Lhasa, the capital of Tibet. Our railway line in northeast India has not gone beyond the plains of Assam, meaning there is no railway lines bordering the Indo-China border. The airports that we have in the northeast are the ones which have been left behind by the Britishers, which were basically constructed in 1962. Till today, we have not added any more airports there. Of course, there are reports that we are upgrading these airports. To cross Brahmaputra river divides northeast literally into two parts. We are trying to construct bridges on that. So in nutshell, the infrastructure of roads, railways and airports requires to be improved drastically. As far as the state of arms, ammunition and modernization is concerned, very briefly, we definitely need to improve upon the modernization. Our modernization today is falling way behind because of budgetary cuts which have taken place, and we need to improve upon that. But what is important today is that nation should rest at ease and remember that even as on today, Indian Army is more than capable of taking on the Chinese army should a war be thrust on us. But the cost will be losing more blood. So what is required today is improving our infrastructure of roads, railways and airports in the northeast India, carrying out modernization at a much faster speed than what is happening today, raising an additional strike core for borders against China. If you do this in a methodical manner, then only we can take on China. In 1962, the Foreign Service had a preponderance on what was happening on the Chinese border. Even today, the Indian Army is not consulted on the matters of security with regard to China. Today, China has put in a lot of missiles and nuclear weapons in Tibet, which creates a lot of problems of security for us. China is today aiding Pakistan in a big way. They're giving them nuclear reactors, they're giving them nuclear weapons, they're importing missiles from them. Basically, they're propping up Pakistan, which can become some kind of a counterweight to India. We need to do something about it. In addition to that, their roads and railway network is so good that we definitely need to match it by improving speed of our roadways and network there. In addition to this, what the Chinese are doing is called as the policy of string of pearls. Around the Indian coastline, they have built their surveillance centers at number of ports nearing our coastline. One such a center is supposed to have come in Gwadar port of Pakistan. Then there is a report of Hambantota port of Sri Lanka, where they have built some kind of surveillance. Then there's the port of Chittagong, which belongs to Bangladesh, where the Chinese have their presence. Then the Sitwe port of Myanmar, they have a presence. What should we be doing? Can we also have our friends in these areas? There are a lot of countries in the Southeast Asia which are not exactly happy with the expansionist policy of China. We definitely need to improve our security relationship with them. 2-3 countries which come to the mind are improving our relationship with Japan. You are aware that recently there has been a problem over Senkaku Islands between Japan and China, and Japan is not willing to accept China's supremacy. I am Brigadier Hemant Mahajan, who has put in nearly 37 years of service in the Indian Army. I was commissioned into 7th Maratha Light Infantry, one of the famous battalions of Indian Army, in June 1975. During my service, I have taken part on all the operations in which Indian Army participated from 1975 onwards. I have taken part on anti-terrorist operation in Jammu and Kashmir, anti-infiltration operations which Indian Army did again on the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir. During the peak of terrorism in Punjab, we were involved in Operation Raksha in Punjab. In addition to this, I have served on the Rajasthan and the other Pakistani, Indo-Pakistan borders. I have served on the Indo-China borders, on the Indo-Myanmar borders, and we have taken part in various operations which took place, including serving in Andaman and Nicobar Islands. For all the action that we did in Kashmir, my battalion was awarded Unit Citation and about 19 gallantry awards. Again, when I was commanding a brigade in Jammu and Kashmir, again a lot of awards were won by my brigade. My last 4 years of my service in the Army, I joined Army War College, where I was teaching officers of the rank of colonels in the higher command course. After my retirement on 31st January 2009, I've been writing very regularly in various newspapers on various facets of national security, both in Marathi and in English. I've been taking part on various debates on the TV channels, in the Marathi TV channels, 24 hours news channels, Hindi TV channels, and also some of the English TV channels. In addition to this, we are taking part in many seminars based upon national security. I'm a member of 2 think tanks, Center for Advanced Strategic Studies based in Pune and Forum for Integrated National Security, which is based in Bombay. One is involved in talking on various facets of national security, on many talks which are coordinated by various NGOs. For my service in the Army, I was awarded Yuddha Seva Medal for the good work that I had done, a gallantry award in Kashmir. In addition, I have been awarded Chief of Army Staff's Commendation Card. Swatantra Veer Savarkar Rashtriya Smarak asked me to I am on the working committee of Swatantra Veer Savarkar Rashtriya Smarak, and on their behalf we have produced some films covering various facets of national security. The films include India's external security, that is how we should deal with China and Pakistan. Second is how should we deal with our borders during peacetime with Bangladesh, with Nepal, Myanmar and Sri Lanka. How should we look after the coastal security? We face serious internal security problems. We have covered 4 of these. These are the extent, the Naxalism in our country today is increasing exponentially. How do we counter the threat of Naxalism or Maoism. Kashmir proxy war is still going on. What else can we do in Kashmir? Northeast India is being converted into a Bangladesh. How do we meet the challenge of stopping Bangladeshization of Northeast? And how do we stop bomb blasts that are taking place in rest of the country? All these films are in English. One film is in Marathi, in which we have spoken as to how do we take on the challenge of the Chinese dragon. In addition, there is one film on motivation. One young soldier, Lieutenant Vijayan Thapar, how he sacrificed his life. It's a film which will motivate the younger generation. I am sure that you will enjoy listening to these films, and you should pass it on to, you should pass on the contents of these videos to as many friends and relations as possible, so that the spirit of national security is imbibed by every citizen of the country. Jai Hind.